Hello everyone, it's Kylie from PaperDaisyJournals. This video is a show and tell of my Shabby Chic Inspiration Bundle and all of the goodies inside it. So I've been waiting a little while to do this bundle because it has a lot of my favorite fabrics and trims. It is a bundle of laces, fabrics and trims with a really sweet hand-stitched quilted heart, which I think would look amazing on a journal. This bundle could easily make 3 or 4 completely shabby and decorated journals. There's quite a bit in it. And I decided the way I felt to present this was to make a little lace dilly bag, and it's got a cotton string tie at the top, which is something that you could actually have in your craft room as well. So it's a really nice way to present and post this inspiration bundle, but I thought also it's quite useful as well. So I've taken this out of the lace bag, but that's sort of what it looks like. It's just very simple, but I think quite pretty. I even made a couple for my craft room to hang around on the door to my room, and also on a knob on the chest of drawers that I have in here as well. So let's get started on what's in this huge bundle, because it's quite big. So you've got your quilted heart, and that just has a little vintage button sewn on. Some are pink and there are some that are white, and it would just be a random thing. I've tied it up with this really beautiful, very soft pink lace, and I think that would just look really sweet edging a tag or even your journal. But it's super soft. So everything in this bundle you can definitely use for something. These rosettes, there's enough here to do the spine of an A5 sized or standard sized journal, but they're also fun to cut off and put as a tag topper or the feature on the front of a journal. And these actually have a little bit of glitter on the ends, but they're the palest pink and they're lovely. They were vintage, so there may be a little bit of discoloration with some of them. They're not all the exact same color, but I actually liked that. I've also included some really nice mauve pink beads, and I have used these to decorate the ruffle on a journal, and there's enough length there to do the front lower part of a journal to add an interesting feature. These are amazing. They're actually iron-on if you wanted to sort of use that option, but you could also hand stitch them on or glue them on. I have hand stitched them. I'm not sure what the glue would do to the iron-on adhesive at the back, but they're not sticky. It's just the iron-on. And I just think that they would look fantastic on a journal cover. So you have 2 of those. There are also 2 of these suede hearts, and they look so sweet just stitched onto a journal. You could also use brads through the holes to adhere them to a page, or the cover of a journal would look really interesting. There's a couple of beaded applique, and they have that really beautiful tulle, very fine tulle background, and I just thought they were really sweet. There's also 3 of these beaded floral appliques, and they have little pearl buttons, so I thought they would look really pretty on a journal. A piece of this sequined trim, and I do just very gently do that to the edge, so hopefully no more come off. The way that they're stitched on is quite unique, so when you have cut it, most of them will actually stay in place, but I thought that would make an interesting patch on a journal cover or on a tag. These are amazing. They're vintage beaded applique, and they have actually been hand stitched. So these newer ones, most of the stitching is by machine, except the beaded parts, but there's 4 of these in each bundle. They're actually all beads and sequins, and I just think they're amazing. So how beautiful would that be as a tag topper or on the pocket of a journal? I have also included, because I do have a lot of velvet blossoms, I have included 3 stems. So these are the 3 separate stems, and on each stem there are 3 separate flowers. They are vintage, so they are a little bit, I guess, floppy, but you could arrange them so that you could put them together on a journal or in a journal. They would actually look quite pretty on the side of a ruffle. But you can also cut them off just with normal scissors. The wire is not that thick, and you could hand stitch them on if you wanted to. I would advise against using glue unless it's a really good fabric glue, because the glue tends to show through the velvet. So that's just something that I have found through trial and error with using vintage velvet flowers. I've also included 3 lengths of velvet ribbon in different shades of pink, of course. This bundle is all about the pink. It's shabby chic and it's pink. This is 1 centimeter wide, and each length is 90 centimeters, which I think is 3 foot in the other metric system. I'm not quite sure, or a yard. I think it's a yard. It's approximately a yard each, or 90 centimeters. And this one is 1.5 centimeters, and so is this one in width. So some amazing length there. Journal closure if you wanted to, the top of a pocket, on the outside of a journal. There's a lot of things you can do with the velvet. I even saw somewhere along the way that an artist had actually cut like 2 centimeter sections and actually patchworked them together to make a cover. It would take you forever, but how amazing would that look and feel? So if someone actually does that, please send me a photo, because it was very impressive to see. It was a while ago, and I think I had the idea of trying it, but I never did. I probably never will. I've just included a little snippet of lace there, which I think would be a really nice pocket. I actually did a floating pocket and hand sewed a piece of lace on to tuck a tag into, so I thought that was nice. This is also some lace you could use as a belly band. You could use it as a pocket, or you could actually cut the different flowers separately and sew them onto a tag or a journal cover. This is some of my favorite trim ever. It is like a Borderion glaze, but it's also an insertion lace, and it is silk. So it has a beautiful feel. It is embroidered. So it basically has everything in it in the one trim. So I've given you enough for a belly band and the top of a pocket or a shallow pocket in a journal. It would also look really stunning down the spine of a journal, especially with the hidden signatures. I'm probably going straight to the most beautiful part of this bundle, but why not? This is the most stunning embroidered tulle lace I have ever owned or seen. It is three-dimensional, so there are layers with sequins. There are little diamantes on it, tastefully on it. I don't think they're over the top. Little pearl beads. The colors are just stunning, so very pastel mint, blue, apricot and pink. And it's so versatile. How amazing would that look wrapped around? I don't even think I can get the whole thing in the frame. Wrapped around a journal, but you can also actually cut around the different sections and use one part as a patch, either machine or hand stitched on. This you could easily cut off and use separately to decorate, even a leaf if you wanted to. And these parts here you could actually separate just by carefully cutting. And my favorite one is probably that little one there. It's actually stitched onto, and there's a couple of layers of petals. Not sure if you can hear those kookaburras, but kookaburras are very territorial, and they actually laugh to defend their territories. So a lot of people think they're actually laughing, but it's their call to say, go away, this is our patch. And we have a family that have decided to reside in the pine tree behind us. So I think in future videos their calls will be peppered throughout. But there's a little bit of Australia for you, which is nice. Okay, so back to this gorgeous bundle. This is taken from a large tablecloth, and I am so inspired by, you know, you could cut a pocket, you could use a little piece on the front of a journal, you could just hoard it and leave it in the bundle, which is probably what I would do. When I was putting this bundle together, I had 8 and I decided to make a 9th one to keep for myself. So there you go. Because sometimes just having the video to remember is not enough. So that is a nice, fairly large piece of lace there. And my next favorite piece of fabric is this Dupont Silk, and it actually has a checkerboard. It's machine stitched and raised, so there's texture. It is the most perfect light shade of pink, and there is enough there to cover a large journal, or line a large journal. So that is some of my favorite. I haven't actually used any of this out of my own stash yet. So if you make something out of it, you have beaten me to it. I love this Swiss lace. It is so soft and just beautifully put together. You can tell the difference. Still made from a nylon, because silk lace is just way too expensive, but it is Swiss and it is beautifully made. So that's a gorgeous patch. And just, you know, things like these 3 together, just the different colors, the different textures, so yummy, I have to say. I have included a nice large piece of this embroidered Borderion glaze. Beautiful edge, scalloped edge with the rose design, and the leaves go all the way to the top. So I have often used that sort of section as for a pocket, but you could easily make a small journal out of this. And this is another piece of fabric I love it so much. It's roses. It is actually a bark cloth, so that is a raised and textured fabric. It is vintage. It is from France. And just look at that. It's just gorgeous. So I have actually decided to tear the fabric into the shape, because I know I'm going to get a straight line, and I do actually love that sort of edging. But this would look beautiful as the spine of a journal, or patchworked onto a journal, and you could use, you know, a patch of that and a patch of that. So everything's sort of designed to work together in this bundle, like with most of my bundles. Some part aspects are more harmonious, I guess, than others, but it's hard to get pink wrong when everything is pink and white. This is another beautiful piece of chewed lace, and it's sort of, the pattern does actually go in that direction, but you could also definitely wrap that around over the top of a patchworked journal. So if you wanted to use some patches of the fabric in this bundle, you could layer that over the top. It would also look really nice in the journal as a signature. So I often use a doily or a piece of lace to wrap around all the signatures. So that's the first thing that you sort of open up when you're going into the journal. I think that makes a really nice textural sort of introduction. This is another very long piece. I think this is about 60 centimeters of a Borderion glaze with the ribbon insertion and a little daisy design there. It looks beautiful as a pocket, but also would look really pretty patchworked with that sort of fabric and the other Borderion glaze. So that's the same pink, so that there's a nice length of that. You could even cover sort of a quilted journal in it. This is some more of my other favorite vintage fabric, of course, roses, pink roses with thorns, actually. Pink roses with pink thorns, but I do love that pink, and I also love the green. So this is enough for a standard sized traveler's notebook if you wanted to cover the whole thing. This is vintage. It has had a previous life, I feel, as a curtain because there was quite a wide hem at the bottom, which I have unpicked, but I have actually left some of the thread because I find myself that's really an interesting feature, but very easy to take off if that's not your thing. But I just think it adds to the shabby nature of that piece of fabric. The next piece is another piece from a tablecloth. So this is a cotton tablecloth. It is a bobbin lace, and I just think these are so beautiful. There's 3 layers or 2 layers, but you know, quite raised but still flat, so you could actually have that decorating inside a journal without it affecting the journaler's ability to write, because I think sometimes, you know, you don't want too much sort of bulk. But I just love the different aspects of this piece, and it's probably large enough to do a small journal cover and layer over fabric underneath. It's also really pretty just in little bits and pieces sort of stuck onto a tag, and I find because it's a natural fiber, it actually sticks quite easily with permanent craft glue. This is a gorgeous piece of Swiss lace. It is so soft. There is, they have actually used a shimmery thread for the leaves in the pattern. I cannot describe this lace any more than that. It is a salmon pink, but I just think it's absolutely stunning. And I have included in this bundle some pinks in that sort of color tone. So you do have your typical pastel pinks in the other fabrics and whites, but I've also included some of the salmon pinks too. So if you like to keep your pinks separate, you have enough of the salmon colors to easily make a journal, and enough of the other pastel pink to make a couple of journals easily. So that's a beautiful piece of vintage Sanderson. He did an Art Deco style rose print, and I was lucky enough to get a rather large piece, so I'm quite happy to share that with you. I have actually used that in quite a few of my crafters gift boxes and inspiration bundles. This is a really sweet piece of modern velvet, but I just love that Art Deco design, and it is the perfect shade of that peachy pink color. It is quite thick because it is a modern velvet, so it would look amazing as a pocket on the front of a cover. But you could also make a very sort of rich tag if you wanted to. But I've put in a patch of that. This is some more beautiful vintage lace in that salmon color, and it is a tulle lace. These actually look really pretty on when I do a collage tag. I will, you know, use the bottom part on a journal or in a pocket, and then these little bits at the top look really nice just stuck on a collaged tag for something a bit different. So there's a nice piece of that. And last but not least, I've included a rather large piece of this gorgeous vintage fabric. It has also had a previous life, so just keep that in mind. And I do launder and wash all of my fabrics. A lot of them come to me already washed, but I like to, you know, so you can use it straight away without that sort of musty aged smell. And I just love this. Some of the colour did wash out, but I kind of like that it muted it down a bit, especially the black is more of a brownish, dark brown colour now. And I just think it is gorgeous. So the salmony pink colour just fits in really beautifully with these fabrics here and laces. And I think there's another piece of this would look really gorgeous in a journal as well. So that's sort of the, I guess, salmon pink sort of section. There's also a piece of that velvet in the same color, and some of the flowers are also that color tone. So if you can just sort of imagine something made out of that color, just so pretty. Okay, that's why I made a bundle for myself. Even though I still have, you know, some of all of this left over, it's not quite the same when it's not curated into a bundle. And even just layering that like that, it just, it's so gorgeous. Anyway, okay, enough of all of that. So I'm just going to put some pretty things here for you to ooh and ah over, because I definitely am now. I feel like making a journal. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye.